students. Today we are going to discuss the assignment that I have sent to you, right? Okay, in here, before discuss the assignment, I want to give a summary of the operating system, right? Already we have completed the lesson unit operating system, but I want to give you the summary before discuss the assignment, right? First, I gave you the introduction regarding the operating system. Under that, we have discussed about the kernel. The kernel is the program, and that is the core, right? That is the core of the operating system. And then we have discussed about the history, and under the history, there are 4 stages that we have discussed mainly. That the first stage is there were no operating system, that is late 1940s to 1950s, and we have discussed the things happening in that stage. And then the second stage is simple batch system. We have discussed about the simple batch system also, as well as the third stage is multi-program batch system, and the fourth one is the time sharing system, right? If you consider about the no operating system stage, that is the single user system, and there were no operating system, and the programs loaded directly into the computer. Those are the main things happening. And if we consider about the features of them, manual program scheduling, unit programming, processors and idle when loading programs and doing inputs and outputs, those are the main features under the first stage, that is no operating system stage, right? Then the second stage is a simple batch system. Under the simple batch system, that is introduce the maximize the processor utilization, and the programs recorded in the magnetic tape. Okay, those are the main features under the simple batch system, right? Okay, then if you consider about the features of the simple batch system, no direct access to the hardware and high response time it has, and unit programming, right, like the no operating system, right? Okay. Then we have discussed about the multi-program batch system. Okay, under the multi-program batch system, that is central theme of modern operating system, right? That is the modern theme of the operating system, central theme of the modern operating system. And memory is partition, right? Memory is partitioned to hold multiple programs. Okay, those are the things happen in the multi-program batch system. Okay, then the last one is the most important one, that is the time sharing system. I have given you a question about the time sharing system. After that, we have discussed about that, right? Okay, then we have discussed about the main functions of the operating system. Under the main functions of the operating system, we have discussed about the providing interfaces, process management, resource management, security and protection, right? Those are the main 4 functions of the operating system that we have discussed, right? Okay, then we have done the classification of the operating system. Under the classification, there are several. We have separated the operating system into the different parts according to the user and the task, right? The first one is single user single task, single user multitask, then multi-user multitask, multi-threading, real-time, and time sharing system. Okay, that's how we have. That's the way we have discussed. That's the way we have classified the operating system into the several parts, right? Okay, then we have discussed about the file types. Under the file types, the file type is the extension, right? If we are giving a one word for that. That is, we have discussed the extensions, right? Under that, we have discussed .exe, right? And that is .txt for the document text for the text file, and the jpg.png, right, for the pictures, image files, right? Okay, that's how we have discussed, right? That those are the things that we discussed under the file types, right? Then we have discussed the file hierarchy. The hierarchy is, top to bottom, there's the flowing, right? It's like the tree-like structure, right? Nodes are there, the parent node is there, and the parent node is divided into several parts. Those separated parts are the children nodes, right? Okay, Likewise, we have structured the file hierarchy. Okay. Then we discuss about the file system. On the file system, we have discussed about FAT. It is file allocation table, FAT32 and NTFS, right? Okay, we have distinguished between them, right? FAT32 and NTFS, because FAT32 is the modified version of FAT, right? But FAT32 is modified version of FAT. So we have distinguished FAT32 and NTFS, right? In the assignment, I have given you that question regarding the file system, right? Okay, we can discuss about that further under that question. Okay. Then we have discussed about the file security. Under the file security, we have discussed passwords and access privilege, right? Access privilege. Okay, then you know what the password is. Password is always that is the simple, right? Okay, that may be letters or the words or the images can be used for the passwords. And access privilege. Okay, there are some limitations, right? Okay, there are some limitations to access. Okay, there are some privileges support for the access, right? Okay, then we have discussed those things, right? Authentication also we have discussed, right? Okay, then we have discussed the file storage management. Under the file storage management, there are three parts that we have discussed. Those are continuous allocation, linked allocation, and indexed allocation, right? Then we have already we have done this formatting and defragmentation also. So those things have been covered. Then we have discussed about the definition of the process, and you know what the process is, right? Then the process states, there are five process states that we have learned. Those are create, new, ready, running, block, awaiting, terminating states, right? Those are the states that we have discussed. Okay, then we have discussed about the process management, process transition, PCB, process control block, as well as context switching and process scheduling, right? Under the process scheduling, we have learned three main schedulers. Those are long-term scheduler, that is job scheduler. Then the second one is mid-term scheduler, that is swapping stage, right? Swapping. And the short-term is CPU short-term scheduler, that is CPU scheduler. Then we have discussed about the memory management unit in physical memory and the virtual memory. Okay, and then finally we have discussed about the device manager, mapping, garbage collection, compaction, and spooling. Right, those things we have covered under the operating system. Right, regarding all those things, I have given you the assignment. Right. Okay, now we are going to discuss the assignment. Right. Let's take the first question. First question is, explain about the time sharing system. Now, you must know what the time sharing system is, right? Okay, time sharing system is, you know, I'll read that. I have given the answer for that, right? That is, time sharing is a technique which enables many people located at various terminals to use a particular computer system at the same time. Right? This is the logical extension of multiprogramming. This is the logical extensions of the multiprogramming, because the processor's time is shared among the users. Right? In here, the time sharing is the processor's time is shared among the users. I will explain to you that by using the diagram in here. Right. If you consider about this as the processor's time, right? CPU processor's time, right? It gives Likewise, that this time is shared among the users. Right? Time is simultaneously. That's important. That time is shared. The processor's time is shared among the users simultaneously. That's the important, right? Okay. Then now you know what the time sharing is, and now you know to write the answer for the time sharing, right? Okay. Let's take the next one. Right. Now we have discussed about the second question, that is the main functions of an operating system. In here you have to write only the main functions of the operating system. Right? Under that I have given you the answers already. I have given you the answers. Those are providing interfaces, process management, resource management, security and protection. Right? Those are the answers for the second question. But I won't give you a brief explanation regarding though each one, right? Let's take the first one, that is providing interfaces. Providing interfaces means giving commands to the interface is yes, that is providing interface to interact with the computer, right? We need to interact with the computer, so for that we are giving commands, right? Okay, there are two types of the internet interfaces. Those are CLI, command line interface, and graphic user interface, right? Let's take command line interface, that is CLI. That is text based. For an example, we can take MS-DOS. In there, that is text based and that's not user friendly, right? Okay, but if you consider about the graphic user interface, that is graphic based interface is there, and in there graphics are like the colorful pictures are used for the icons, right? Likewise, so attractive those, right? So graphic based, as it is graphic based, it is so colorful, right? So and it is so attractive, so that's easy to handle, easy to use to the user, and that is user friendly, right? Okay, then for an example, we can take Chrome, Word, those are the examples, right? If we consider about the process management, it involves various tasks like creation, scheduling, termination of the processes, right? And deadline. In process is, process is the program that is executing, right? That is executing. Right? Process is the program that is executing on the computer, right? Process management means they are managing the process, right? The running processes, executing processes can be managed by the process management, right? Okay, then resource management. After this, this is the technique for managing resources, particular system resources with limited availabilities, right? For example, central processing unit, right? CPU and RAM, right? Those are the examples for that. Okay, then security and protection. Under the security and protection, we have discussed password, access privileges, authentication, right? Okay, then you know what they are, right? Those are the things that we have discussed under the those main functions, right? Okay, then let's take the third question, that is about the classification of the operating system, right? What's the question? Classify an operating system. Briefly explain two of them. Right. The first one is, we already have discussed about those things, right? Single user, single task, single user, multitask, multi-user, multitask, real time, multi-threading, time sharing. Those are the answers for them, right? Single user means allow one user to use the program, right? Allow one user to use the program which has different parts running on one time, right? Okay. One user, single task, one user, one task, right? Single user, multitask is one user, allow one user to use multi programs. For instance, Windows, Linux are the examples for that. For an example, we can say when I'm typing any letter, when I'm typing a letter in word processor, while I'm typing that, I can listen to a song, as well as I can download any document. With that, I can send an email, right? Okay, all multitask, all those things can be done at a time, right? So the single user can do the multitask at that time is single user multitask, right? Then the other one is multi-user multitask. Similar, two or more users allow multiple programs running at the same time, right? For an example, Windows Server, those are the example. Then real time. Real time means when responding to inputs instantly is the real time. For an example, when you are doing any conversation with someone, right? When you ask when you are, that's informal conversation. When you meet your friend, just think, when you meet your friend, you're not taking more time to answer for his questions, right? After a long time, when you meet your friend, you're not taking more time to discuss any little thing, right? Okay, you are giving answers at that moment. He asks any question, right? Okay, that's the way the real time is responding, where it instantly respond to the inputs when it gets, right? Okay. Then the last one, that is time sharing. We already discussed about the time sharing system. Okay. And multi-threading, right? Multi-threading means it's like this. Multi-threading when allow different parts of the program, right? Allow different part of the single program, right? That is important, single program. Allow different parts of the single program to run concurrently is the multi-threading, right? Okay. Let's take the fourth question. In here, we have to distinguish between FAT32 and NTFS. I have already provided you these answers. Okay. I think all of you can see this. Right. Okay, let's take. We can discuss it. Maximum file name, right? Maximum file name should be 8.3 characters in FAT32. That's 255 for NTFS, right? Okay, then if you consider about the maximum file size, that is 4 GB in FAT32, that is 16 terabyte in NTFS. Then if you consider about the file, fold encryption, there's no any file or folded encryption in FAT32, but it has in NTFS. Right? If we consider about the fault tolerance, there's no in FAT32, auto repair in NTFS. Then if you consider about security, only network in FAT32, local LAN network in NTFS. Then compression, there's no in FAT32, it has it in NTFS. Conversion, if you consider about the conversion of FAT32, that's possible but not allowed in NTFS. Right? Compatibility of, if you consider about the compatibility of FAT32, that is Windows 95, Windows 98 and Windows XP are they compatible for FAT32, but Windows 7, Vista, XP are compatible for NTFS. Windows XP is compatible for, the main thing is Windows XP is compatible for both FAT32 and NTFS. Right? Those are the differences in between FAT32 and NTFS. Okay, then the fifth question is, give brief explanation about continuous allocation, linked allocation and indexed allocation. Right. Okay, let's take the first one, that is contiguous allocation. Right. Okay. Under the memory allocation, we have done those three parts: contiguous, index, and linked. Right. Contiguous allocation. Let's take the first one, that is contiguous allocation. That is allocate this space as the collection of adjacent blocks. Right. Okay. If this is, we are considering about these blocks as the sectors, right? Okay, and in HD this is the blocks. The sectors can be represented by the blocks, right? Okay, then in contiguous allocation, allocate this space as the collection of adjacent. You can see the adjacent blocks are shaded in here, right? Adjacent blocks are shaded in here, right? Okay, there are several files I have selected, I have taken. Those are count, file F, file tr, file main, file list. Those are the types of files I have taken, right? Okay, there's a directory about this content, right? Here you can see the file size that I have taken and the start, right? All of the blocks have the indexes, right? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, up to here, up to 31. The blocks are blocks have the indexes, right? Okay, then if we consider about the first file, that is count file, the starting location of that is 0 and the end of that is 1. So the number of blocks are allocated, are used to used to store those data files count is 2. So the length of the file is 2. Is that clear? In here, 2 blocks are used to save this file. So the length should be 2. If I consider about the TR file, right, in there, TR file is used to store within 3 blocks, right, 14, 15, 16, right. The starting location of this TR file is 14 and the length of that is 3 because it used 3 sectors to store the TR file. Likewise, we must know to find the start and the length of the start location with the length of the file, any file, right? Okay. Then here, if we consider if we are considering about the contiguous allocation again, let's come to the part the contiguous allocation now. Okay, let's move to the part that we have to discuss, that is the contiguous allocation. Right? Okay, contiguous means the sectors are used to, the blocks are adjacent blocks are used to store the data. You can see the count 0, 1 sectors, 0, 1 blocks are used to store the file count. In here, these 3 blocks are used to store the file, right? Likewise, adjacent contiguous blocks are used to store the data. So, this is named as contiguous allocation, right? Okay, there are several features in the contiguous allocation. Those are, it is very simple, right? And extending file is difficult because here adjacent, if it, when it is selecting the adjacent files, it doesn't have, it can't grow further, right? It can't grow further. That's why the file size is not known at the time of the creation, as well as extending file size is difficult, right? And the external fragmentation occurs in the contiguous allocation, right? What are the main features? The simple file size is not known at the time it is created, and extending file size is difficult, and the external fragmentation occurs. Okay. Then we have to discuss about the linked allocation. In here, uh, that is given. The selected file is chip. Starting location is 9 and what's that? Okay. Starting location is 9 and ended with 25th block. Okay. In here the blocks may have been scattered everywhere, right? Here 9, 16, 1, 10, 25, right? Those blocks are used to 9 to 25. They are not taking adjacent blocks. 90, the needed blocks are scattered everywhere, but each one is pointed to. Each one is linked with the other, right? The starting block is 9, right? That block is linked with the next one, that is the 16th block. Then the ninth block has the place where the content of the place where the next one is pointed to the next this block assigned to the file, right? Okay. Each block contains a pointer to the next this block assigned to the file. Then 16 is linked to the next one, and the previous one has the content of the data, the address of the next one, right? The address of the next block, right? And if you consider about the first one, it has the content of the address of the next one, right? Okay. Always the previous block has the content place where the next one is located, right? Okay. Then that's how one is linked with the other, the second one is linked with the third one is linked with the fourth one. Likewise, all are linked with each other, right? Okay, let's take the features of the linked allocation. In there, file can grow easily because the previous one is always connected with the next one, and the previous one has the data, the address of the next one, right? Always stored the location of the next one, address of the next block, right? Okay, the file can grow easily. No external fragmentation occur. There's no any external fragmentation. Many seeks are required to access file. Okay, those are happening linked allocation. Then we have to discuss about the index allocation. Index allocation is context block is just used to store this block address of a file. Every file is associated with its own index node. Right. Index file is it has a selected block like this. According to my example, that is the 19th block, right? I have selected the 19th block. In there, it has the content of the it store this block addresses of the other files. Every file is associated with its own index node, right? Okay. Here 25th one, 16th one, 9th one, 10th one, first one. Okay. All of the directory. Okay, index allocation. Then we have discussed about the index allocation. In here, context blocks is just used to store this block address of a file. Every file is associated with its own index node. You can see, I have, according to my example, I have selected the 19th one. It has is used to store, the 19th block is used to store the addresses of the file, right? Every file is associated with its own index node. Its own index node, according to my example, is the 19th one, right? Okay. If we call the 19th one, it knows the places where the stored data, right? Okay. If we call 19th one, it calls the other indexes which is related to the relevant data. Right. Then we have discussed about the sixth question, that is the process states, right? In the question, what are the process states, right? Okay. There are 5 process states that we have discussed. Those are new. New is new or create, right? Okay. and that is the process is being created, right? Then the second one is the ready state. Ready state is waiting to be assigned to a processor, right? The process is waiting to be assigned to a processor is the ready state. Then running state is instructions are being executed, right? That is the running state. Then the waiting state. Waiting state is the process is waiting for some event to occur. For some that may be input or output completion or signal reception, right? Okay. The process is waiting for the some event to occur. Then the terminated is stop. The process has finished the execution. Then that's over the processing, executing the process, right? Okay. In the seventh question, they asked about the main process schedulers. Under the main process schedulers, we have discussed about mainly three process schedulers. Among them, if you consider about those three, right, the long-term scheduler and the short-term scheduler are the main, right? But the medium-term schedule is also important. So there are main process schedulers. The long-term scheduler, short-term scheduler, and medium-term schedulers are those three. Okay. Then we have discussed one by one. Okay. You know, long-term scheduler, as I mentioned with the beginning of this, when I am presenting you the summary of the schedulers, a long-term scheduler is called job scheduler. It's also called job scheduler, and short-term scheduler is also called the CPU scheduler, and medium-term scheduler is also called the process swapping scheduler. Right? But when we consider about the speed of them, the short term has the fastest speed, right? Okay, it has the faster among the other two, right? Then speed is lesser than short term has long term scheduler, and in between both long term and short term schedulers, the speed is in between both long term and short term scheduler. He has medium term scheduler. Okay, if we consider about the control degree of the programming, long-term scheduler controls the degree of programming. In short-term scheduler provides lesser control over the degree of multi-programming, and it reduces the degree of multi-programming as short medium-term scheduler. Right? Okay. Then I think clearly you have a clear idea regarding the schedulers, right? Then we have discussed about the spooling. Spooling is an acronym for simultaneous peripheral operation on line. Right? Okay, for example, when we are giving any command to the computer, if you want to print any document, right? Okay, with that at the moment and instantly, when we are giving the command to print, okay, it gives the output. Right, okay, and then parallel, that's the example for spooling. Okay, I think that's over the assignment. Okay, I think clearly understood about the things we discussed, that we have discussed under this assignment, as well as I have given you I have presented you the summary of the operating system, also the things that we have discussed under the operating system. So then I think all of you there's no any doubts regarding this assignment, the questions given in the assignment. So I think you got a clear idea about the Unix operating system. Right, okay. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you, and may God bless you.